The mission began with a dream as bright as the morning sun. For decades, scientists had wondered what secrets were hidden inside the deadly clouds of Venus and the silent rocks of Mercury. These two planets were the closest neighbors to the Sun, yet they were full of danger and mystery. No human had ever gone near them. Not this close, not this deep. Humanity finally decided it was time. A powerful spacecraft named Astronomy Voyager was built for the mission. It was stronger than any ship made before. Its body could survive extreme heat, crushing pressure, and deadly radiation. Along with the main ship, two robotic probes were prepared, one for Venus and one for Mercury. The crew of Astronomy Voyager was small but brave. They were chosen not for their strength, but for their calm minds and sharp thinking. As they entered the ship, they felt a mixture of fear and excitement. They knew their journey could rewrite everything humans believed about the inner solar system. The mission plan was simple on paper. First, Astronomy Voyager would fly toward Venus. The ship would stay above the clouds while the Venus probe traveled deep into the thick yellow atmosphere. After that, the ship would move toward Mercury, where the second probe would explore the mysterious lines and circles on the planet's surface. Simple, clear, dangerous. As the journey began, Earth slowly shrank behind them. The sun grew larger each day, shining brighter and hotter. Venus appeared first, a glowing yellow ball covered with thick clouds swirling like angry storms. The planet looked peaceful from far away, but the crew knew the truth. The surface was hot enough to melt metal. Still, the crew felt confident. Their instruments were stable. Their ship was strong. Their hearts were steady. But as they moved closer, something unexpected happened. The yellow clouds of Venus shifted suddenly. They twisted into a spiral, wide and slow, like a giant unseen hand was turning them. The ship's radar reacted immediately, shaking with strange signals that made no sense. The scientist on duty leaned forward. This is not normal weather, she whispered. The commander frowned. Is it a storm? She checked the data again. Storms don't move like this. And they don't form perfect circles. A soft vibration passed through the ship, so gentle it felt like a whisper against metal. The crew looked at each other, confused. The vibration grew stronger, repeating like a heartbeat. From inside the clouds, something was moving, something alive. And Venus, for the first time in human history, was not silent anymore. The closer Astronomy Voyager moved toward Venus, the stranger everything became. The yellow clouds no longer behaved like normal storms. They moved with rhythm, swirling in slow circles, as if something deep inside the atmosphere was controlling them. The crew stared through the window in silence. Venus's clouds were supposed to be wild, chaotic, unpredictable. But now, they were moving in perfect harmony. Too perfect. The scientist checked the instruments again. Pressure is rising earlier than expected, she said quietly. It shouldn't increase this fast at this height. The commander nodded. Prepare the Venus probe. The Venus probe, small, strong, heavily protected, was released from the main ship. It began descending slowly, sending back live footage. The first few minutes showed the thick yellow fog. Static lines danced across the screen, but the picture was still clear enough. Then the fog shifted. A darker shape appeared inside the clouds, long, wide, and moving with purpose. The crew leaned closer. What is that? Cloud formation, one astronaut guessed, but his voice didn't sound confident. The shape didn't fade. It changed. It curved. It stretched. And then it vanished into the deeper layers of the atmosphere. The ship experienced another vibration. Soft, but this time it traveled from one side of the hull to the other, like something was brushing against Astronomy Voyager from outside. The commander checked the readings. No impact. No wind. Nothing near us. So what is causing this? The scientist looked pale. It feels like the clouds are reacting to us. The probe continued sending back data. Now the radar was picking up something new. Patterns. Not noise. Not wind currents. Patterns repeating at perfect intervals. Beep, beep, beep. The scientist frowned. This is not random. This is repetition. Venus's clouds are sending a pulse. The commander leaned forward. A signal. Maybe, she replied softly. Or warning. Suddenly the footage from the probe showed something shocking. The yellow fog separated for a brief moment, revealing a massive empty space, like a pocket inside the atmosphere. Inside that pocket, the probe captured a glimpse of something metallic, a structure, a shape, a smooth curved surface reflecting faint light. But right when the camera tried to focus, the cloud slammed shut again, covering everything. The probe shook violently. The pressure climbed sharply. The camera feed filled with static. The scientist gasped. Something is pushing the probe back. Outside the ship, the clouds twisted again, now forming a perfect spiral, pointing upward, pointing at Voyager. The commander whispered, "Venus is not just reacting. It knows we're here." The Venus probe struggled inside the thick yellow atmosphere, shaking like a trapped bird. Every second, the pressure increased, and the strange pulses grew louder. Inside Voyager, the crew watched the live data stream with fear in their eyes. The scientist zoomed in on the pulse pattern. "This is not natural," she whispered. "These signals are repeating with exact timing, like a code." The commander leaned forward. "How exact?" "Every pulse is the same distance apart. Venus's winds can't do this. Something inside those clouds is creating order." Suddenly, the ship received an unexpected signal, strong, clear, and rhythmic. Not from the probe, not from Earth, from inside the clouds. Beep, beep, beep. Then a long pause. Beep, beep, beep. The pattern repeated perfectly. The radar screen blinked. Massive shapes were appearing inside the atmosphere, at least 3 of them. They were not solid like ships or rocks. They were soft-edged, floating slowly, like islands made of fog. One astronaut whispered, "Are these life forms?" No one answered. No one dared. The probe's camera flickered back for a moment. It showed something breathtaking, huge dark structures drifting inside the yellow clouds. They moved gently, almost like jellyfish floating in the ocean. Their edges glowed faintly, reacting to the probe's lights. But then one of the shapes turned. For the first time, the team felt a chill. The floating shape rotated slightly, and the glowing edge brightened, as if it had noticed a probe. A pulse rippled through the cloud. The probe vibrated violently, its sensor screaming. "It's scanning us," the scientist said, voice shaking. "Venus is scanning us." Voyager itself trembled softly. Another pulse hit the hull, stronger than any before. It wasn't an attack. It felt like a question. Beep, beep, beep. The commander looked at his team. It wanted a response. They tried sending a basic radio reply, but the clouds didn't react. The pulses continued, soft, steady, patient. The scientist thought for a moment, then changed the signal. She matched the rhythm perfectly. Beep, beep, beep. The entire ship went silent. For 10 long seconds, nothing happened. Then the clouds moved, not randomly, not like a storm. They parted, slowly, gently, revealing a deep circular space inside the storm. In the center of that space, something metallic was floating, glowing with a dull silver light. The scientist gasped, "That's not natural. That's built." The commander stared at the glowing object inside the clouds. "Venus is not just alive," he said quietly. "It has a memory." While Voyager battled the mysteries of Venus's clouds, the second part of the mission quietly unfolded millions of kilometers away. The Mercury probe had reached its destination, the smallest and most silent planet in the solar system. Mercury looked dead from space. Half of the planet was burning under direct sunlight, while the other half remained frozen in complete darkness. Nothing moved, nothing breathed, nothing lived. At least, that's what humanity always believed. The probe entered Mercury's night side, where temperatures dropped lower than any winter on Earth. Its camera lights cut through the darkness, revealing nothing but empty rock and deep shadows. Then, a soft beep echoed from the sensor. "Strange," the scientist whispered from Voyager after receiving the data. "I'm picking up heat, but Mercury's dark side should be freezing." The heat signature was small and perfectly round, like a glowing circle carved into the ground. When the probe moved closer, the camera revealed something shocking. A smooth ring was engraved into the rocky surface. It wasn't natural. The edges were clean, precise, symmetrical, almost like someone shaped it with tools. and in the center of the circle, a faint red glow pulsed slowly. Heartbeat-like. The commander frowned. Mercury has no atmosphere and no life. How is something glowing on the cold side? Before they could question further, the probe detected another heat circle. Then another. Soon the radar displayed dozens of them. Perfect rings, all spaced evenly, forming a huge pattern across the dark side of Mercury. The scientist zoomed out. Her voice trembled. These aren't random circles. They're arranged like symbols. The crew stared at the screen. The rings were forming lines, straight lines that connected like writing. It's a message, the scientist whispered, carved into Mercury. The probe moved toward the bright side of the planet. As the sunlight touched the rocks, the team saw something even stranger. Deep grooves, shaped like arrows and swirls, glowed gently under sunlight. They weren't melting. They weren't reflecting. They were reacting. When the sunlight hit them, the lines lit up like they were charging with energy. One astronaut murmured, "It's like Mercury is alive in a different way, storing information." Suddenly, a small crack appeared on the surface near one of the glowing lines. The ground shifted slightly, opening just enough for the probe to detect something beneath it. A hollow space. A tunnel, deep underground. The scientist's voice shook as she stared at the readings. "Something was built under Mercury," she said softly. "And whatever it is, it's waiting." The crack on Mercury's surface kept widening, opening slowly like an ancient door waking after thousands of silent years. The Mercury probe hovered above the gap, its light shining into the darkness below. Dust floated upward in small clouds, but something else came too, a faint metallic smell, old and untouched. Inside Astra Voyager, the scientist stared at the readings. "This tunnel isn't random," she whispered. "The temperature inside, it's stable, almost controlled." The commander raised an eyebrow. "Controlled? By who?" The probe descended carefully. As the camera adjusted, the darkness changed into shapes, walls carved with smooth precision, lines running along the stone like veins of metal. The tunnel wasn't natural at all. Someone had built it. The deeper the probe went, the clearer the carvings became. They were symbols, curved, sharp, and repeating in patterns. Some looked like Venus's cloud patterns. Others looked like ancient shapes found on Earth in forgotten civilizations. One astronaut leaned closer to the screen. "These symbols, they look like a star map." The scientist nodded slowly. "Yes, and not just any stars. Look, this one matches the sun. And these three, they show the orbits of Venus, Earth, Mercury." The commander whispered, Mercury was a warning post. The probe continued down the tunnel. The camera lights reflected off something ahead, a large chamber. When the probe entered, everyone on Astra Voyager froze. The chamber was huge and circular, filled with tall pillars that glowed faintly when the probe's light touched them. In the center stood a metallic object, shaped like a disc, floating above a stone pedestal. It rotated slowly, as if powered by invisible energy. The scientist zoomed in. "It's active," she said, "after all these years." Suddenly, the chamber lights pulsed, soft, slow, and rhythmic, just like Venus's cloud pulses. The disk glowed brighter. A faint sound filled the chamber, like distant voices layered together. The probe's microphone captured it, sending it to Astra Voyager. The sound wasn't clear, but the rhythm was unmistakable. A message, a signal. The scientist decoded the pattern quickly. Her face went pale. "It's the same pattern Venus sent," she said. "Both planets are speaking the same language." The disk spun faster. The pillars lit up one by one, creating a pathway of light across the chamber floor. The message became clearer, almost forming words. Then the lines on the floor shifted, joining into a single glowing symbol, a symbol pointing toward the sun. The commander whispered, "Mercury is telling us to look at the sun." The chamber pulsed again, this time stronger, urgent. And in that moment, the crew understood. Venus held the memory, Mercury held the warning, and whatever waited near the sun knew they were coming. While the Mercury probe explored the underground chamber, Astra Voyager remained near Venus, floating above the thick yellow clouds that now moved in unnatural spirals. The crew didn't know about the latest discovery on Mercury yet, They were still trying to understand the strange structure hidden inside Venus's atmosphere. The Venus probe had stopped sending clear images. Pressure readings were rising and falling like waves. But the one thing that hadn't stopped was a pulse signal, the strange repeating rhythm that the clouds kept sending. Beep, beep, beep. It felt like a heartbeat. It felt like a message. The scientists on duty adjusted the receivers, trying to reduce the static. Suddenly, the pulse changed direction. It was no longer coming from the atmosphere. It was coming toward the ship. The commander stared at the radar. Something is rising from the clouds. Before they could react, the entire ship shuddered. A wave of warm air swept over Astra Voyager, as if Venus itself had exhaled. The yellow fog below twisted into a massive spiral, opening a huge circular gap in clouds. From the gap, a glowing formation rose slowly, thin, wide, shimmering like liquid gold. It wasn't solid. It wasn't a creature. It looked more like a shape made of energy and mist. It didn't move randomly. It rose gently, stopping at the same height as Astra Voyager. The radar went silent. Every instrument went quiet. Even the pulse signal stopped. Then a soft vibration entered the ship, not from the walls, from the air. A whisper-like sound echoed through the cabin. Impossible, because Venus had no oxygen for sound to travel through. Yet they heard it, a gentle, broken voice. At first, it was just noise. Then it formed a pattern. Then it shaped itself into words. "We see you." The commander froze. Did Venus speak? The voice returned, still soft, still broken, but clearer than before. "We remember the builders." The scientist felt her heartbeat rise. "Builders? You mean Mercury civilization?" The glowing formation outside pulsed. Storm took them. Sun warned them. Clouds kept their memory. The team exchanged terrified glances. The voice grew stronger, almost sad. "Danger returns. Darkness moves. Follow the signs." The scientist whispered, trembling, "It's warning us." The glowing Venus formation suddenly released a wave of warm light that washed over Astra Voyager. Instruments lit up briefly, then went silent again. One last message came through, clear and chilling. "Look to the sun. It wakes." Then the formation dissolved back into the clouds as if it had never been there. The clouds closed. The spiral faded. Silence returned. But the message remained. Venus remembered the past. Mercury left a warning. And the sun had something to say. Astra Voyager floated between two worlds, Venus behind them, Mercury ahead. Both planets had spoken in their own strange ways. Both had warned of the same thing. And now, all eyes turned toward the one place they had feared the most. The sun. When the crew combined the signal from Venus and the symbol from Mercury, a pattern appeared. The Venus pulses formed half of a message, and the Mercury carvings formed the other half. Together, they pointed to a location near the sun, a point no spacecraft had ever approached. The commander made the decision. Set course toward the sun's slow approach. Maximum caution. As the ship moved closer, the solar brightness grew so intense that even their strongest filters struggled. Yet the closer they got, the more the sun changed. Its surface rippled, slowly, gently, like something beneath it was breathing. The scientists watched the readings. The sun's magnetic field is shifting. It's reacting to us just like Venus did. At 20 million kilometers, the strange signals grew louder. At 15 million, the sensors stopped responding. At 10 million, the ship began to shake, lightly at first, then harder. When they reached the exact point pointed to by the Venus-Mercury code, the sun erupted, not with fire, but with light. A golden flare rose upward but stopped halfway, holding still like a pillar reaching toward the ship. The flare twisted and formed a shape, a vast ring glowing above the sun's surface. Inside the ring, patterns of energy moved like writing. The scientists gasped. It's the same language. Venus clouds, Mercury symbols, they all lead here. The energy ring projected a final message, clear, powerful, and ancient. We failed. You must not. Images flashed in the ring. Mercury shining like a beacon, Venus wrapped in clouds of memory, an ancient civilization watching the sun like a guardian. Then the images changed. A shadow entered the solar system, a dark shape with no star of its own, drifting like a hungry void. It consumed light. It consumed warmth. It consumed stars. The sun's message continued. Darkness returns. Your star is young. Protect it. Protect your world. The crew felt cold despite the heat outside. The commander whispered, "The builders, they warned us through Mercury." Venus held their last message. And the sun remembers everything. The ring of energy pulsed once more, then collapsed into a shower of golden sparks that fell back into the sun. Silence followed. The crew understood their mission was no longer just exploration. It was preparation. Humanity had been given knowledge, warning, and time. Astra Voyager turned around, heading back toward Earth with the most important message in human history. Venus had whispered. Mercury had carved. The sun had spoken. Now, it was humanity's turn to answer.